Living God, artist of the changing skies, builder of the steadfast earth, lively Christ, born to walk life's journey with us, Spirit of life, always moving in us and among us. Your presence surrounds us here and everywhere we go. Your purpose holds the world in its place. Your imagination engages us each step of the way. In our time of worship, show us how we can serve you and open our imaginations to the future you create. For we seek your guidance and your grace, now and always. Amen. Last week, I had a phone conversation with my sister in South Africa. A few years ago, she left her career as a journalist to start a dog grooming business. Like all small businesses, she struggled for the past 2 years because of COVID. After we exchanged the usual and expected greetings, I said to her, "So how are you really?" She sighed deeply and said, "It's just like it was last year. I'm trying my best to survive, but everything is so uncertain." I heard her exhaustion and frustration, and I felt my own. Her sigh spoke louder and said more than her words. I know what that sigh is like, and I suspect you do too. I find myself sighing more these days. I sigh more often and I sigh more deeply. And I wonder if that's true for you too. I wonder what your sigh is today. I'm not talking about the sigh of relief or satisfaction. I'm talking about the kind of sigh we hear from Jesus in verse 34. It's not only a sigh, it's a moan and a groan. It's a murmuring. It's an expression of something deep within. Jesus has returned to the region around the Sea of Galilee. The people brought him a deaf man who had an impediment in his speech, and they begged him to lay his hands on him. Jesus took the man aside in private, away from the crowd, and put his fingers into his ears, and he spat and touched his tongue. Then looking up to heaven, he sighed and said to him, "Ephphatha," that is, "be opened." He sighed. What do you make of that? What do you think Jesus' sigh is about? Maybe he's just tired. Haven't you had days that wore you out, and as soon as you got home, you dropped into your chair and sighed? Have you ever sighed when the phone or doorbell rang and you wondered, now what? Maybe that's what happened to Jesus when the people brought this deaf man with a speech impediment. Maybe he just wanted to be left alone for a while. Or maybe he's heartbroken at this man's life, the difficulty and struggle. Don't you sometimes read the news and sigh? I sigh when I'm tired, when I feel overwhelmed. I sigh when I feel powerless, when I don't know what to do, and when I feel lost. What causes you to sigh today? If you were to list the top 3 things that cause you to sigh today, what would they be? We sigh for 1,000 different reasons, but here's what I wonder. What if our sighs are the revelation and recognition that we have bumped up against a closed place within ourselves, in a relationship or in our life and world? Isn't that what happened in today's gospel? The people of that region brought Jesus a man who is closed. His ears are stopped up and his tongue is tied. And Jesus sighed. What if every sigh carries the words, "Ephphatha," be opened? What if the exhalation, the breathing out that accompanies every sigh is the breath of life? What if Jesus is sighing new life into the man in today's gospel, into you and me? Isn't that the story of creation? God breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living being. And for the man in today's gospel, Jesus sighed and said to him, Ephphatha, that is, be opened. And immediately his ears were opened, his tongue was released, and he spoke plainly. He was a new man, a new creation. I think most of us experience our sighs as a recognition to the circumstances. We sigh, believing that how it is how it will be. We close ourselves off from the future, each other, and the possibilities of something new happening. We resign from life. But Jesus doesn't do that. His sigh is not a recognition, it's a cry of opposition to anything that would contract or constrict life. It's his resistance to whatever is closed. It's his refusal to accept limitations or restrictions on the fullness of life. When I look at the sighs in my life, I can see the closed places in me. My attitudes and opinions, my ways of thinking, my version of the truth, my actions, my dreams and hopes, my vision for how life might be. My sighs show me that I still have work to do. They point me to places of growth and healing. Look at the top 3 sighs in your life today. What are they about? What closed places are they showing you? What would it take for you to sigh at those closed places, and then say, Ephphatha, be opened? I wonder what it would be like for you and me to sigh together, not out of resignation, but to register our opposition, embolden our resistance, and reinforce our refusal to the closed places in our lives and world. I think that sigh would be a divine sigh, a prayer, a cry for help, an expression of longing and desire, a hope against hope. It just might be the opening of something new in our lives and world. It was for the deaf and mute man in today's gospel. Let's try it. Close your eyes for a moment. Pick one thing from your list that makes you sigh. Something that is closed in you or closed to you. Now, take a breath and sigh. Hear the words of Jesus. Ephphatha, be opened. Say it now. Say it out loud. Ephphatha, be opened. Amen.